Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Today, we're doing another Knives and Coffee episode, and today we are going to be talking about multi-tools. So stay with me, guys. We'll take a look at what we got on the table, and we'll talk about that. All right, guys. I've just happened to today just brought out a small section of multi-tools here, and got a yellow jacket. It's getting pretty friendly. So got a hair in my mouth. The first one I got here on my left, going from left to right, is a fairly cheap Ozark Trail multi-tool. This was a Walmart purchase, obviously, but I just it was fairly cheap. I grabbed it up. I just want to see if it was potentially worth throwing into maybe a tackle box, or, it's just a little emergency to the emergency. It spring loaded. It's got the exposed spring. It doesn't feel very stout, like I'm afraid to put a lot of torque on it. Now, the knife blade that came with has a little bit of an edge on it. It's not great. I think I kind of worked around on it a little bit, but not much. Didn't have a tip at all. See, it came. Let's pull out the rest of the tools here. We got us a Phillips. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm assuming that this right here was meant to be a combination tool, like a bottle cap lifter maybe, and either a scraper or was supposed to have been an awl. That's almost completely worthless hunk of steel unless you actually do something to it to make it into something. But I almost doubt the bottle opener part, because we do have a combination on this one. We have bottle opener, can opener. And I have opened cans with this. It works just fine on the can opener. Over here on this side, we have two flat heads, and this is a file. It's not a very good file. Let's be perfectly honest, it's kind of a crap file. Only thing it will do up top here, it will strike a ferro rod halfway decent. And we have a serrated blade on here. Now this thing is not very sharp. It's one of them deals where if you want this to perform even remotely properly, you'll have to try to sharpen this, then hone it yourself. So all in all, pretty crappy. Out of a 1 to 10, this thing is sitting around a 1.5. I mean, believe it or not, I've actually seen worse than this. So actually, by that measure, it probably actually scores a 2. Not recommended. It was just a little cheap one. I was like, well, I just wonder, is it worth anything? Now, if you are going to go Ozark Trail, I can recommend the MultiForce. This one here has a dedicated video already on the channel. Or it comes with pocket clip, decent pliers. I don't have anything to complain about the pliers. They're fine. No wiggle wobbles. Everything matches up good. It has the nice 3D bit driver, and it has locking tools. Of course, this is modeled right after the Leatherman Wave. Got a pair of scissors, flat, and we have a bottle opener with a wire stripper. The wire stripper in this is good and sharp, but it's kind of on the smaller side, so fortunately you're kind of limited to what gauge of wire you can use. And like the Wave, we have our outside accessibles. We have a serrated blade, and it has a nice little flat here for doing draw cuts. This is moderately sharp. It definitely needed touched up. Like I said, this is the second one I bought, I think. And I gave the original one I had to a friend, and it seemed to have actually been made a little bit better. It's got a file. We got the diamond crosscut and a little bit of a filing down here. Yeah, it's not by any means the worst, but it's definitely not the best. It's usable. I'll give it that. And these all have like the liner lock deal. So let's get here and get our saw. The saw is actually surprisingly decent. Very sharp, very aggressive. I was actually surprised how well the saw did work on this. Really good 90-degree spine on it. It will strike a fire rod pretty well. And we got our straight blade. No serrations. I had to do a little bit more work on this one than, like I said, the first one, but it does do decent. I like the shape. Nice. I can use this for a multitude of things, including utility work. It'll actually perform well for processing game, believe it or not. Moving right along. I'm going to save that middle one for last. All right. Now this is the Leatherman Wingman, and this is a classic too. This has pretty well been one of the most best-selling, I think, Leathermans they got. It's like, I'd say they're around their top 5 bestsellers. It's pretty basic and simple, but it's pretty good. It's got spring-loaded, and we have on the inside here, these are our flat and Phillips. On the other side, we have a package opener, which comes in handy, especially nowadays, and it works quite well. We have a file, and we have some measurements here. We got inches and centimeter. This actually, to me, comes in handy depending on what you're working on. You could actually use this as a depth gauge, but the file is actually quite aggressive. It's a pretty good file for as short as it is, and I do prefer it had been longer, but hey, and that does lock, by the way, guys. Well, it's not lock. You have to put a decent bit of pressure to pop it, but it kind of clips in back here. It does make a difference. Now we have us another combination tool here. Our can opener and our wire stripper. Really good wire strippers. Can opener works just fine. No complaints. Now this one has no outside accessible tools. No big deal though. We have our pocket clip, comes standard. Decent set of plier heads. Can't really complain. They line up good. There's only a moderate bit of wiggle. Wire cutters on them actually work quite well. Now this is a light duty multi-tool, but it gets the job done. It's a convenient size, decent weight, and this one really doesn't need much introduction. This is the Leatherman Wave. Real quick, we're just going to, because we've all probably seen it a dozen to 1,000 times, but we have our normal outside tools. Straight blade, very, very fantastic file. Very good, sharp, well-made serrated blade. Nice draw cut section. Fantastic saw. And it has a nice wicked 90-degree spine. This thing will absolutely throw sparks off a ferro rod like you wouldn't believe. That is our outside accessibles, and those are all liner locking. All the internal tools lock. We've got this lock bar on both sides. Fantastic plier heads on this. Very good cutters. These things line up perfect. Absolutely no wiggles. Got on our inside real quick. We got our standards. Flat. Good pair of smaller scissors. And one thing that a lot of people don't like, but a lot do, and I do because I wear glasses. That little micro driver, Phillips, and it's reversible. Flip it over. It's a flathead. And being that I wear glasses, I actually like the fact that this tool is in here. However, no one else has to. That's your prerogative. And lastly, but not least, we have our bit driver. This one comes with a double-sided bit, Phillips in a flat. You're both in your most standard side, I believe they're like number 2s. And we have a very good can opener and a very outstanding wire stripper built into that. All right, we're not going to linger on the wave. It's been on this channel quite a bit. You guys kind of already know what I think about it. Which apparently I did not get my tools all the way down in there. All right. And this is a pretty standard and classic Gerber USA. These have the studs that you can depress here in the middle, and this allows you to one hand open those pliers. Now these all have internal tools. They do have this back here on both ends of it. Now that's kind of a slide lock. This is a pretty old multi-tool here, guys. We have a partially serrated blade here. It's basic, simple, but for the size of the tool and what I find I typically use this for, this does work. I'm not a fan of combo blades, but for just basic utility work, it does work fine. And we have a Phillips and a flat and a bottle cap lifter combo deal right here. And on our other side, if I can get them out of there, we have a pair of scissors. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of these scissors. Even when this thing was new, I was not a fan of those scissors. These little guys are about stuck in there. Whoa. It's got some age on it. All right, now here we got another flathead, small flathead, and we have our can opener. This can opener is actually pretty good. It works quite well. And we got the Leatherman Micro. Now this one here I actually keep in our first aid kit, because most first aid kits got a pair of scissors, and usually not the greatest in the world unless you go out and buy, a dedicated pair or some shears or something. But this is just a small metal, kind of everyday little medical kit we got, and that is thrown in there due to the scissors and a few other tools on here. We got a little knife blade. This thing is a chisel ground, so it's only ground on one side, but it's good and sharp. We have a fingernail file. And there is indeed a screwdriver here, if I could pop it out there. Maybe we can bring it up with all the tools. Or maybe not. There we go. Nice little flathead on this side. Bottle cap lifter. A very small precision screwdriver. And this is actually a Phillips driver, even though it's shaped kind of like a flat, but they have these corners chamfered in, and this will actually work on Phillips. And a very good pair of tweezers. The only thing I will complain about the tweezers a little bit is how wide they initially are, so they're a little bit awkward to get the hang of, but once you get the hang of them, they're not bad. But they come quite in handy though, especially kids get a splinter or you get a splinter. There we go. All right, guys. Now we're going to get to this one here. This is the Leatherman PS2. And you know your Leatherman history, that means personal survival tool. This is the second iteration of the original. Now it has a basic set of pliers and wire cutters that, pretty much standard for the Leatherman company. Very good lockup on those pliers, no wiggle at all. We have nothing but internal tools, and they don't lock, but they do kind of latch in back here. It stiffens them up pretty good. Now, real quick, we have our two flathead screwdrivers and a really decent pair of scissors. They're a really good pair of scissors, actually. Now, on the opposite end, we have a bottle, or not a bottle cap lifter, we have the can opener. And this can opener works fantastic. Really good design. It has 3D Phillips and a precision screwdriver. It's not quite a micro flat, but it's down there to a very small precision screwdriver. And this does somewhat work on some eyeglasses. But back in the year that this thing was made, that was more than sufficient for that particular job. Oh, and lastly but not least, they have a combo blade, and this is about 3/4 serrated. I am not a fan of that, but this thing is wicked sharp. Even the serrated part is wicked sharp. So these serrations were done right. Very good job on those serrations. But since we got this one out, excuse me, let me get a drink. And I don't have one of the originals, so basically be your PS1. It was the whole concept behind the personal survival tool. And a lot of people would assume that, these things were made for maintenance and mechanics in mind. And now a lot can be quite useful for that. And a lot of companies make these multi-tools that are geared towards that. But in the heart of it, I think the idea is that, and I forgot to mention on most of these, if not all of them, they have measurements, like a little bit of a tape measure, guys. But the heart of it is kind of like being prepared. It was almost like that kind of that Boy Scout ethos. And having a simple little tool like this on your person allowed you to do a lot of basic routine maintenance type of deals. And in a situation where you could be caught out and you need a tool to help you get through your situations, whatever they may be, that's where they really come in and shine, in my opinion. So a good sharp knife alone is quite handy. Now, like I said, a lot of times we can equate whether it's a bushcraft or the survival aspect of a lot of things. Now, there's a lot of tasks that we can say that if we can accomplish, and the easier we can accomplish, it'll go further to making things more comfortable for us. So obviously being able to cut, maybe even take out a screw, loosen a nut, tighten a nut, the bolt or something of that nature could help us. Like I said, even some basic stuff, if your car had some issues, there's not, like I said, this is not a full mechanics kit or nothing like that, but you'd be surprised at what little things you can do with a multi-tool in the right situation. Now, like I said, there's a gobsmack of different companies. So you can kind of pick your poison when it comes to that. Now, a lot of them, there's enough information out about them, you can kind of get a pretty good guess of which ones are decent. Gerber's good, Leatherman's good. Some of the Sogs are pretty good. Victorinox has a really nice couple plier-based multi-tools. Now, Leatherman probably has some of the most variety by far, and kind of help fit, excuse me guys, kind of help you fit your budget with your needs, because you may not need the larger, heavier duty ones. I mean, you might be able to get just fine, all fine with like a Leatherman Wingman. And I'm probably up, since I've already always got it on my person, won't forget like the skeletal. This is a very handy little one. This is a light duty one, but I'm quite fond of it. I've done quite a bit with these. It's just nice to have the screwdrivers and the knife blade, and of course we got just your basic set of pliers and wire cutters. I've done a lot with these, and this is the one that if I don't have any other plier-based multi-tool on me, I have this one at all times because it's so light and it's real easy to carry. And I can't tell you that I got a favorite one, because I don't. It really depends on what I need. And these two are similar weight. The Wingman is just a little bit heavier, but the Wingman does have more tool options on it, and it does have a nice belt clip. So if I wasn't able to get this one to carry this one, this would be my lighter duty choice for everyday carry. And if I'm going out anywhere else doing anything serious, bushcrafting, practice survival skills, the Leatherman Wave or the MultiForce is most likely what I'm going to take. I can do a lot with them, a little more heavy duty. This one will probably sit in a box of random knives for, in obscurity for the rest of its life. I mean, this is something, it's not really, I don't trust this enough to do anything but play around with it, like at the house where we got access to tools in case this thing breaks. Barely even consider this better than nothing. This is a good old classic, this Gerber. I mean, this design has been around for a long time. I know this was issued to armed forces for quite a while too. So this was definitely one that, you could probably. So basically, I think we could, what we can take away from it is, outside of being, I guess bias, maybe, everybody's got probably a particular brand or particular model that they like. And if I was in a really crap situation and I really had nothing on me, and even if I did have this, fairly crappy one, I would be happy to at least have that versus nothing. Yeah, absolutely. So to be fair about it, I know I said this is virtually slightly better than nothing, but something is definitely better than nothing. So I want everybody maybe think, all of you have had multiple different types of multi-tools. You can definitely share your experiences in the comment section. If you got a particular brand that you think is pretty good, and maybe give a couple of stories or something like that with things you've actually had to do with it. Kind of like, how'd your multi-tool save the day kind of deal. And outside of, obviously you got some limitations on where you can't carry them. So yeah, share some stories with everybody. And like I said, I know some people are kind of diehard fans of certain brands. There's a guy that I used to work with, he had one of these. That's all he would have. I don't even know if he owned any other brands, but this is what I've always seen him with. Every so often, he'd have me sharpen the blades up on it for him. So like I said, I don't own a whole lot of different brands, but you know, like I said, you know, it's nothing personal against any one. I just kind of got my favorite. Well, this is one, the Ozark Trail one, the MultiForce. For a budget one, I like this one. It's actually pretty stout. I wanted to try to get the Gordon from Harbor Freight. Only thing I was leery about it, and I did see some bad reviews, and I've seen like several reviews where the plier heads snapped, and where there's, you know, they got it up close where the pliers head had snapped. That metal just looked terrible. So I hadn't got one of those. I may be in the market for one of the die camps. They got a couple models of those out now, and I've so far seen good things about those. But I am not a multi-tool salesman, guys. So, like I said, you know, don't think I'm poo-pooing on your brand. You know, it's like whatever one in particular that you guys really like. That is absolutely fine. Like I said, you know, I don't have anything to say buy this. The only thing I can say is kind of avoid, you know, chintzy stuff like this. You know, if like you're really going to be seriously potentially having this to kind of get your butt out of a jam, I would definitely try to find a better quality one than that. Just get some nice little fine shavings here for you guys. Let's try the Ozark. Let's get some Ozark action. That blade profile on that is a little different, so I got to hold the knife blade slightly different angle. However, not a problem. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and try this thing, just for the heck of it. Now it should do this a little bit, but it's not going to do it like fantastic. Like I said, I did try to get a little bit of an edge on this thing, so it will work this pine just about decent. But I'm going to tell you right now, it did not come from the store that way. I'm really unpleased about that tip. That's nothing I did. That is just literally how that tip came. Oh, you know what? I totally airheaded on the Wingman. We have a combo blade on it. And it has the bigger scissors. And Leatherman makes pretty good scissors, guys. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the combo blade. So usually, I mean, you can kind of use if you're real careful, and kind of get you a little bit of a groove going. Getting photobombed here. Out of here, Yellow Jacket. I mean, you can't slice wood with it. Well, this thing is out of here, bud. But otherwise, you can kind of hold your finger up higher on it to use the flat edge part. That is one determined Yellow Jacket. Good hustle, buddy. Good hustle. All right, now we got this little pin blade on the Micro. I said it's actually surprisingly sharp. Now, the real use for having that small blade on like this, for especially being that's in our medical kit. Now, this can be opening up real fast, like some packages, gauze. We got a little bottle that's used to flush out your eye. It has this little plastic part that you need to snip off, or you can use the scissors for it too. But the little knife blade does have some applications for the first aid kit for sure. Now, let me get that down just a hair lower. Let's get the knife blade out on this old school PS2. Well, that's a little awkward having to hold that clear up there to make my feathers, but she'll do it, no problem. Like I said, though, this one has very well made serrations. These serrations are like almost scary sharp, like just barely touching them. It feels like it just wants to slice right through my skin. But now we've come a long way. And this video is starting to get pretty long. But, one of the older, more original designs, and my goodness, what we're up to now, the Leatherman Arc, quite different creatures. But it's food for thought, guys. I encourage you guys, if you don't have a multi-tool, to maybe consider at least purchasing one. Like I said, you don't have to go like super crazy. Like I said, some of the more affordable. Now, this one's pretty heavy too. This MultiForce, it's actually even a bit heavier than the Leatherman Wave. But if you're wanting one that's more lighter, maybe something like this, old school traditional Gerber, or the Leatherman Wingman would be your thing, if not the skeletal. Now this one's fairly light. It's actually lighter than the skeletal. But, these are a bit harder to come by, and I'm not going to use this. Like I said, I'm not much big on a collector, but this one I'm going to preserve as long as possible. And let's grab the sheath that came in. It's a nice old leather sheath. Like I said, these things have been around for quite a while now. And this one had nice, good, thick leather. I like that sheath on this one. But, all right, guys, for what it's worth, like I said, if you can, excuse me, I guess, I should say, if you will, leave something in the comments. Share a story about a multi-tool. Maybe it was your first multi-tool. What was your first experience with one? And, as far as I'm concerned, it don't have to be plier based. If we got something like a Victorinox, that counts too. So I just kind of like everybody, if you would, share some kind of story. That, guys, a real long one probably. I didn't watch time on the first segment, but we're already past 11 minutes now. So I appreciate your time. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in another video.